So I've been getting a lot of questions about the difference between Lattafa and Black Opium and La Belle, Jean Paul Gaultier and Yves Saint Laurent Black Opium. So I wanted to do a side-by-side comparison, so I bought 2 samples of Black Opium and La Belle. So in the opening, they are different. They are quite different in the opening. In the opening of La Belle, it is much more fruity and citrusy, so it's a little bit brighter. I wrote juicy citrus, red fruits, maybe, like a juicy apple. The top note is pear, and once I read that note, pear, it really connected. It does smell like a pear. So with Jean Paul Gaultier's La Belle, I get brighter, citrusy, fruity notes up front, and like a juicy pear, essentially. Where in the opening of Lattafa's TERIAQ, I do not get that bright of a note up front. There is some burst of like citrus, like some kind of fresh citrusy, like bright note, but it warms down pretty quickly to the syrupy honey with a leather undertone. So this is a warmer fruit. And then in Yves Saint Laurent's Black Opium, you get pear right up front, and it is brighter and more sparklier, but then it kind of dries to that kind of richer sort of pear, like a baked pear. I think that's the best way I can describe the difference between these 3. They are very similar though. I have to say they're from similar DNAs, but definitely Lattafa's TERIAQ is a warmer honey leather. It just has like a warmer kind of feel to it. And warmer, like, I don't want to say ambery because I don't believe that there is a true amber accord in this, but it's the leather. There's just like that underlying leather to the TERIAQ that the other 2 don't really have. And I know in Yves Saint Laurent Black Opium, there are notes of licorice and coffee. That is not something I really pick up on. I'm just getting that kind of fruit, like a baked fruit note. And Jean Paul Gaultier's La Belle is just like juicier and brighter in general. So I don't know. I think if you have one of these, you probably don't need the other. Unless you really love that honey leather and you really need something like that in your collection, maybe this could fill that void. But I think if you have Black Opium or if you have Jean Paul Gaultier's La Belle, you probably don't need to get Lattafa's TERIAQ. I think it's too much overlap. I also want to say I feel like Lattafa's TERIAQ is sweeter. Like it just feels like there's more syrup in there, and that's just that honey note. As far as the skin test, I feel like La Belle is definitely more sparkly pear. It's more of a sparkly, juicy pear. And Black Opium, I do get those like deeper notes of licorice on my skin a little bit more, where TERIAQ has more of like a sweeter honey vanilla leather on the skin. So it's definitely kind of leaning more towards the like sweetie sort of gourmand-y. I wouldn't say it's a true gourmand though. This is not like fresh baked goods. This is just like sweet honey. So like it just smells sweet. Where La Belle is like a sweet sparkly pear. Yeah, they are very, very similar. There are definitely a lot of overlapping notes in these 3 perfumes. Out of the 3, my favorite, honestly, I never thought I would say this. I feel like La Belle is very easy to wear on the everyday, where TERIAQ, it seems more like a date night kind of perfume. Like it's got that sensual kind of leather quality to it that makes me feel like I would want to dress up a little bit more if I was wearing that. Where La Belle is kind of like, it's girly and like pretty, and I think it could be worn on the daily basis. Black Opium is interesting to me. It has that warmer quality to it. And I think that it makes it a little bit more like sexy. And I feel like you could wear that on a daily basis, but it is pretty strong still. So that's like maybe, it's like LaBelle is for the afternoon and the daytime. TERIAQ is the evening like date night. And then Black Opium is like maybe clubbing or, yeah, I feel like Black Opium you could go out to the clubs wearing. So I don't know. That's just my take on it. What do you guys think? And if you've tried all three, I'm very curious which one is your favorite out of these three. Because I'm kind of having a hard time choosing. I don't usually go for this kind of DNA scent profile. I usually lean on more like the cleaner, like brighter sort of unisex fragrances. But I definitely like this like kind of girliness to these ones.